Welcome back to the channel. We're once again working on our 2015 GMC Chevy Silverado. GMC on the brain here. Welcome back to the channel. We're once again working on our 2015 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD with the big 6.6 Duramax. Now, last time we got the engine in it, we got it running, put some miles on it, so now it's time to start doing some body work and cleaning it up a little bit. So, let's jump into it. First thing we're going to do, make the clean freaks happy. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and vacuum up all the big junk off of our floor. Probably the stuff that's too big for the vacuum, but we're going to feed it to the vacuum anyway. If there's any stains that needed to be cleaned out of the carpet, we're going to leave those for the detailing gnome. We're just getting the clutter out of here. Who had Scott vacuums the entire truck for their 2024 bingo card. On the plus side, when you vacuum it out before the detailing gnome can get to it, you get to keep all the loose change you find. And there was quite a bit in here. Carpet actually looks pretty good. Let's see how the front turns out. This is the part that actually had some passengers. I'm pretty sure the rear was just where they threw all their junk, so the front may require a little bit more than a vacuum to get it to look good again. There's not too much wear on the carpet, and whatever stains are in there should come out once the detailing gnome gets to it, so this thing could end up looking like a pretty decent truck inside. We'll go ahead and throw our floor liner back in here. We are going to drive it around before our detailing gnome gets it. We're going to make him work for his pay. We did have to get the floor liner that wasn't cut out in the center. Most of these are for ones with a console, but this one doesn't have a full console. So it goes all the way across. I'm not sure at this point why they didn't just put rubber floors in this truck. It would have made a whole lot more sense. And skip a step, putting carpet in between the plastic liner that we're putting over it anyway. Complete the install using our bumper installation tool. Good enough. The detailing gnome can do the rest. Now let's see how far I can get with my limited PDR skills on this dent we have in our fender. The suction cup pulls the flat part out no problem, but where the body line is probably not going to come out as easy, and the suction cup doesn't want to stick. So we're either going to have the Bodywork Gnome do that, or if my PDR magician is in the neighborhood, maybe I'll have him take a look at it and see what he can do. Looks like got the makings of Scott's famous console stew recipe going on here. It's a little all-purpose cleaner. You can use water actually for this, but we'll let that marinate for a little while and go do something else. Now after we've let it marinate for a little while, we can take an acid brush and whisk vigorously. Get all the corners. That's looking tasty. We'll soak up a little bit of our soup here. A little bit of compressed air will get in all the cracks and crevices, and we'll cover it up with a towel so we don't end up with it on the headliner or us. If your 2024 bingo card didn't have Scott vacuums the entire truck, then I can guarantee you definitely did not have Scott shares detailing tips while he cleans out a center console that looks pretty nasty. And I've picked up a lot of my detailing tips from watching the detailing gnome over the years he's worked for me. I taught him a lot, he taught me a lot. Kind of works out. And I actually was not joking. I am putting the towel over there to cover it up. because all of that stuff somehow always ends up on the headliner, and it's just a pain to clean the headliner. Any stuff that ends up on the floor or on the seats, we can just vacuum up later or wipe it down, whatever the case may be. Check our headliner and make sure we didn't get any up there. And there's our finished product. Getting in the corners with the brush is really difficult. That's why the compressed air does so much better. When you guys weren't watching in the last video, I did end up pulling this air box apart to check our air filter, so I do know it needs to be replaced. I also went over to Scott's GM Truck Emporium and found some of those missing screws that we needed for our air box. So we'll unscrew the top of our air box, we'll unscrew our clamp, disconnect our mass airflow sensor, and now we can separate the top of our air box, or at least try. We can remember why we took it all out in one piece before. That fender bracket to radiator support bracket really makes this job a little more difficult than it needs to be. It's great for holding the AC lines out of your way, but other than that, it's kind of just a pain. We did get our cover out of there. We're going to get our filter out. I think it was time. In the pile. And I wasn't kidding. It's definitely time for a new one. Put our fresh one in there. I did clean that out before. Before I'm attacked in the comments. Probably still will be, because you're not going to believe me, but I'm okay with that. We'll go ahead and throw our cover back on here. Pretty much the same struggle, only backwards. We can go ahead and start getting our doors ready for our painting gnomes and Bodywork Gnome. We'll pull all of our letters off of here. We don't need to worry about making a template for these. Since we're not taking the letters off the other side, we can make a template whenever we're ready to put these back on. You know, just before we're selling it, because I procrastinate since I don't like doing it. Now we'll go ahead and take our body side moldings off. Same way, I'm just going to slide our little spatula underneath there and break that two-sided tape loose. Hopefully we won't tear up the paint too bad, but not that it matters. We're painting the doors anyway. We'll go ahead and put some tape on this molding and mark it so we know where it goes. Since we labeled our front molding, I might as well go ahead and label our rear one before we even take it off. If you're wondering what the FOC means, it means front of car. I actually got that from GM. There's a lot of parts labeled FOC, and that's what it's for, in case you were wondering. And then just which molding it is. Not that there's a whole lot of choices, I'm only taking 2 off. Maybe 3 if I decide to take that one with the gouge off of the rear, but I'm going to try and fix it on the car, because I really don't like retaping these. Now that we have our body side moldings off and our nameplates off, we can take the rest of the two-sided tape off with our magic eraser. If you're tired of taking two-sided tape off the old-fashioned way with your thumb until it's bleeding and raw, I'll go ahead and pick one of these up. They're available in my Amazon store. It makes life a whole lot easier, a lot less painful, and probably just as messy. It's really easy when highly caffeinated Scott is taking care of this. And the rest of that is actually just dirt from sitting in the top of that molding, so we're going to have to clean all that off. Soap and water should take that off. For some reason the magic eraser leaves the dirt on there. Now that we have what I consider the worst part of the job done, we're going to go ahead and do the fun part. We're going to pull the rest of the door apart, get it ready for the painting gnomes. Pull a little cover off behind our grab handle. We'll pull the other cover off behind our door handle. And we're going to pull this little trim piece off of here because they hid one screw way down in the front and I always forget about it. So let's pull this off so I at least remember it might be there. This one takes a little wiggle, pull, and pray. The clips like to stay in the door panel. I haven't broken one of these yet, but they never come apart like they're supposed to. All of our tabs are still there, but some of our clips are in the door panel, so we'll pop those out of there before we lose them. Another one back here. Just kind of squeeze them together and they pop out. And they just slip back over the tabs on that trim piece that we took out. We'll put those on later. Oh, we'll get that screw that we always forget way up in the front. Pull one out behind our door handle and our grab handle. There's a couple at the bottom and a little wiggle and pull and our door panel will come off right here. We're going to just lift it up and take our window sweep with it. We'll put it back together the right way, but this is just easier than trying to get those clips out of the top. And unplug everything. We can pull our upper trim off of here. Just a push pin at each end and it clips on the seam all the way around. Now we can unclip our mirror harness from the door and unplug it. Then we can remove all the nuts that hold our mirror on. There's supposed to be a plastic clip that holds that mirror on even when the nuts are gone, but I never trust it. I always think the thing's going to fall on the floor, so I just hang on to it because those mirrors aren't cheap, but I am, so I don't want to have to buy one. Crisis averted. Go ahead and throw that in the back of the truck. Then go ahead and pull our belt molding off. There's one screw in the back here. Pull out our little plug so we can get to the door handle cap. We just so happen to have the right size nut driver in there, or Torx bit, I guess. So we'll go ahead and pull this cap off. It's almost like I brought all these tools because I knew I'd need them. Maybe I've done this before. And here comes our favorite train. You have to take that screw all the way out. Wiggle that cap off of there. Slide our door handle back. And pull out on it. Pull that gasket out of there. Now we can slip our belt molding up. Use our door panel tool. It's multi-purpose. Just need to get underneath it. These clips are very forgiving along the belt molding, so they unclip and we don't have to worry about trying to disengage them. And our front door is ready. And go ahead and do the rear door. This one we don't have to take the door panel off. We'll pull that little plug out so we can access our bolt for our little door handle cap. Pull our cap off of there. Slide our handle back. And pull our gasket out. Our one screw on the belt molding is on the front when it's on the rear door. So we'll pull that out of there. And we'll go ahead and pull the bottom of this gasket down. We're going to have to take the gasket off the top of the doors anyway, but we'll do that when it's ready for paint, so it's not dangling in the door jamb and getting smashed in there. Now we'll go ahead and slide our belt molding up. And we didn't break any clips. Time to go play the lotto. And the rear door is done. At least ready for the Bodywork Gnome. Speaking of Bodywork Gnomes, guess what I'm going to be today? Yep, I'm cosplaying a Bodywork Gnome. So we're going to put some duct tape around our molding here, and I'm going to go ahead and fix this little gouge that we have in here. And I don't want to take the molding off the door for a couple reasons. One, I don't want to have to retape it. That's probably the most important one. And two, it's a lot easier to sand this molding when it's attached to something and I'm not chasing it around a stand or workbench or something like that. we're going to spend a little time protecting our door. We're using duct tape because it's thicker, and if we go outside the lines, which I have a lot of problems with, I never could stay inside the lines when I was coloring, we'll not have to worry about scratching up our door. So we're going to start by just knocking it down a little bit with 180, just to get all the paint that's broken out of there and kind of flatten out our gouge, and also give our filler something to adhere to. And no, we're not using body filler. It's a different kind. It's made for flexible moldings, which this is. This wasn't flexible enough or whatever ate it. It's a flat molding, so as long as it's flat when we're done, we should be okay. I think I can manage to get through this repair without losing interest. We could break out the DA, but I haven't done body work in a while, so I'm just going to do it by hand. It might take a little longer, but it limits the amount of mistakes I can make. So now we have our filler. It's basically like plastic Bondo. We go ahead and apply it over our gouge. We'll go a little past our gouge and then we'll sand it down. Kind of like you'd use body filler. Okay, be honest. Did anybody have Scott shows us how to do body work on their bingo card for 2024? I highly doubt it. All right, Picasso, you're going to sand it anyway. Just let it go. It's fine. This is why I don't do body work. I spend way too much time getting the parts that don't matter perfect. One of the benefits, if there is any, of wasting all that time to get the filler as perfect as possible is you don't have a lot of excess. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit it with 180 again to knock it down. Normally I'd hit it with 80 grit, knock it down a little bit, and then go back over it with 180 to get rid of all those scratches. But since I spent enough time trying to get it as close to perfect as possible, I could just skip a step. I guess looking back, spending extra time getting the filler perfect before we sanded it was worth the effort. So when we got it all knocked down to where we want it, we're going to go over it with a little 320, get it ready for primer. A little fine tuning by hand. It is curved a little bit at the bottom, so we'd want to do that with a block. And I think we're ready to hand it off to the painting gnome to prime it and paint it. Our truck is all painted. The shotgun-induced freckles are gone, so now we can throw it all back together. The first thing we're going to do is throw our door handles back on so we can stop reaching inside the open window to get in the vehicle. We'll put our gasket on for our door handle. We'll slide the front of our door handle in. And because engineers were DUI, designing under the influence, we can't just slip the back of that door handle in. We have to pull the lever that it engages with out a little bit and then slide our door handle into it. We have our door panel off and I could reach out from the inside, but, well, I like doing things the hard way, the way engineers intended. So we'll pull it out with our pick, slide our handle underneath it, slide it forward, and we're good. It's just practice because we didn't take the door panel off the rear and we're going to need it. Now we'll put the cap in behind our door handle so that it doesn't fall out of there. We don't have to do that all over again. Everything fits. We'll go ahead and screw it in there. Make sure it stays. Click. Check it a couple times. Make sure we get it right. And we can start putting the rest of our door together. Got our belt molding. Slip it down and clip it into place. Hopefully we got it right and we get that screw in the back. Tighten that down to manufacturer specs. Click. And And we still have our sill plate to do, and the reason we didn't do it when we painted everything else is sometimes it's easier to paint separate parts separate than to worry about having to mask them off and paint around them, because there's different blending procedures. So we're going to leave that. We'll take care of that later. We'll go ahead and throw our mirror back on here. We'll clip it in, but like I said, I don't trust those little plastic clips, so we'll throw our nuts on the back. We'll clip in our harness, and then we'll go ahead and bolt it all in there. We'll put all of our clips on for the top of our door panel that go underneath our window sweep. We'll reinstall our window sweep. Push down there with our belt molding installation tool. We'll pull our speaker out. We'll pull our grab handle bracket out of there. We'll go ahead and pull our water barrier down. If you've been here before, you know I've taken a door apart. I can't get away without go ahead and put some cavity wax in here to keep this seam from rusting out. That'll be at least one of the 3 doors that won't rot out in the future. And for those of you that swear by Crown or fluid film, this is way better. It turns solid and doesn't wash out of there. Although it's not as good for the environment, but then again, what product that is actually good is good for the environment. So we spray it in there and it's done. One and done. You don't have to reapply it every year. We're good to go. So now that that's all done, we're going to go ahead and put our door back together. But our J-clips, for whatever reason on the door here, like to open themselves up. So we just squeezed them back together. And we'll put our water barrier back up here. That way we're not chasing our J-clips around later. They clip in where they're supposed to and stay where they're supposed to. We can put our grab handle bracket back up there, and we can go ahead and screw the screws into our J-clips that are now where they belong. Flip our speaker in on the bottom, bolt it in on the top. And we're going to go ahead and throw our door handle on the rear door so that we can get into this door, because, well, our door panel for the front is in the back seat. And, well, I'm too lazy to reach in the back and open it up. Since we practiced on the front door needlessly, using our pick to move the lever out enough that we can slip our door handle in there, we're prepared for the back. Made it pretty easy. So we clipped our door handle in there, and we're going to put our cap in there to make sure it stays. And we'll go ahead and bolt that in there. Make sure our cap stays on and our door handle stays on. We did paint the door handles on this side because they were worn out from being used. And since we were painting the doors, why not? Put our little plug back in there. And slip our belt molding in. Flip it down with the belt molding installation tool. And we'll tuck our gasket in there for our window. And we'll put our screw back in the front of our belt molding. I didn't have to put the weather stripping across the top of the doors on. I guess the painting gnome was feeling generous, and after he was done, he went and put that in for us. I'm glad, because I really don't like that part. Go ahead and throw our upper window trim back in here. Clip it into our seam. Our pinch weld. These are a lot easier than the terrains. Push our push pins in at the bottom. Make sure our front's clipped in there. And push that push pin in. Now we have to pull the door gasket out. Make sure it's on top of that trim piece. It likes to get stuck underneath. Plug our door panel in. Clip the harness into the door panel. And clip our door handle in there. There's a ball at the end of the cable, clips into the door handle and then clips into the back of the door handle. Our lock rod in there. And smash our door panel onto the door with our bumper installation tool. And we'll start putting all of our screws back in. Start with the easy one first. We'll get to the worst one, and then the average ones. Put all of our covers back on here. We'll put our fancy trim piece in here. We did put all of the clips back on the back of it. Smash that on there. Make sure our door handle's connected. Looks like we're all done with this door. I must say, of all the sponsored products I've had on this channel, the pressure washer was probably the most satisfying to watch. Not necessarily the most useful, although it is pretty useful. It's just so satisfying to watch the dirt just get blasted off without really doing a whole lot of work. Just pulling a trigger and blasting it off of there. It gets all the dirt out of around the emblems and nameplates that you'd normally have to scrub off with a brush or something like that. And it doesn't really do anything other than get rid of the dirt. No scratches or nothing. So we're going to keep using it. We'll even do the inside of our door jambs. Just blasting that dirt away. Yeah, I'm going to give this to the detailing gnome, but why should I let him have all the fun? I'm actually having a blast right now. Maybe cleaning isn't so bad. Did I really say that? Must be something wrong with me. Why stop now? We're going to go ahead and clean up our door jambs on our rear door. And for everyone that says I've gone soft and let the clean freaks win, just know their time is coming. I will have my revenge. But in the meantime, let them enjoy their little victory. So when you have a white truck and you don't clean it a lot of mold and mildew kind of grows in there. For some reason, it seems to be worse on the white vehicles, which I happen to like. So just clean them, and then you don't have to worry about this. And in addition to getting all that dirt off of there, it's also great for knocking off all of our spray mask that we put all over the truck to keep our overspray from landing on it when we paint it. What is spray mask, you ask? It's what the YouTube experts always refer to as the peeling clear coat. Why didn't you paint it? Well, because it's just a soap that washes right off and there's no reason to. So our truck is clean. We're ready to put our moldings back on here. We have our factory molding alignment system, which is way more than the factory actually uses, to put our moldings back on and get them nice and straight. Since they're labeled, we hopefully won't mix them up. Of course, we did peel off the backing to our two-sided tape, tossed it on the floor, so that the shop sea turtles have something to snack on. Pull the label off of there. We'll peel the plastic off our two-sided tape, leave it for the sea turtles, and hopefully get our molding on in the right direction. We're going to go ahead and line up the back. You need to get it about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch, somewhere in there from the back of the door. And then we'll go ahead and line up the bottom, get it nice and straight. And stick it onto our door when we're sure that's where we want it and we aren't going to be taking it off again. Pull off our label. And we'll pull off our factory alignment system. So we're going to change these wheels and tires, not because we have to, and no, I'm not going to go with the Bro-Dozer big wheels and tire combo. Actually, we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to put it back to the stock wheels and tires, because these tires are bigger than they're supposed to be, and they actually had to cut the lower valance out so they would fit. They make a lot of noise. There's really nothing wrong with the wheels other than they're boring. And if I'm saying they're boring, they're really boring. They're just steel wheels, they're fine, but I did recently on a trip to Florida, managed to find some brand new aluminum wheels, 18-inch, just like the ones that belong on here, except they're from a 24. Now, why did I go all the way to Florida to get them? Well, I was there on vacation. So yeah, I'm working even when I'm on vacation. But you go to Florida for a couple different reasons. One, the wheels are cleaner. Up here, they take them off. If they've been in the salt for a year or two, they end up getting corroded. Down in Florida, they're just like brand new. Of course, it doesn't matter. These wheels have less than 1,000 miles on them. The other reason you go down there is there's a lot of them. I could have chosen from a bunch of different sets because I believe it's a requirement in Florida when you buy a truck to automatically change the wheels and tires for some reason. I think it's state law, actually. So I got these, got a good deal on them, and they even came with the lug nuts. So let's see if they look better. I think that'll be an improvement. So we didn't get any tire sensors because they took them out, put them in their other wheels. So we're gonna have to break these down just enough to get our tire sensors out. We'll put them on here. We got a brand new set of tires for this thing. So we'll throw them all together and we'll hopefully have a good looking set of brand new wheels and tires for our truck. So let's get that done. We're gonna pull the valve cores out of our valve stems, let all the air out of the tires so that we can just break it down because we need these tire sensors. And say it with me, because Scott is a cheapskate. Yes, I could go ahead and buy brand new tire sensors and put them in there at 30 bucks a wheel, but that's 120 bucks for the set. So why? These work just fine. I'm gonna go ahead and just spend a little time to break them down. Besides, my time is worthless. At least that's what the YouTube experts tell me. So we're only gonna break down one side of it, hopefully. If we don't drop any sensors in, that's all we're gonna have to do. Got it mounted up. Push it down a little bit. You can see our sensor. There's a little torque screw on the back of it. And if we don't drop that torque screw, that sensor, or any tools down in there, we won't have to completely break down the tire, just the one side. And we also have to do this 4 times. So it's quite a gamble. But if it pays off, it saves us some time. We got our screw loose. Go ahead and pull the bit out of there and get that screw out of there the rest of the way. Wiggle our sensor out of there. We're all good with this one. So we're going to go ahead and fill it back up. Because we're going to go ahead and sell these wheels and tires, or at least try. Now that we have our sensor out of our old wheel, we can put it on our new one. Slide it up on the valve stem. We'll go ahead and put the screw in the bottom of it. Tighten that down to manufacturer specs. Click. Now we'll go ahead and throw our brand new tires on. Got a good deal on these tires. They were being discontinued for a newer model. And no, they're not some cheap Chinese knockoffs. They are Firestone. And unless you happen to own a Ford in the 1990s, you don't have a problem with Firestone. 1990s Ford Explorer, to be exact, because Ford goofed and blamed their problems on Firestone. Hence the reason we all have TPMS sensors these days. I'm trying not to damage that wheel because the thing is perfect. Reset our tire machine back to the right size. Make sure we don't put our tire in over our tire sensor. We don't want to break that thing off of there since we did go through the trouble to save it. And it's starting to spin. There we go. Realign our wheel and we're good. We did go ahead and balance it. Throw it on the truck. Put our fancy new lug nuts on that we purchased with our wheels. The other ones had threads on them so you could screw the caps onto them. These are just chrome, at least chrome covered. Flip our center cap on there. That's an improvement. Set it back down on the ground. So we got all of our tires on the truck mounted and balanced. Believe it or not, I didn't drop any sensors or screws or tools or anything in the old tires. So I was able just to break that one bead down and slip everything out of there and blow them back up. So I can sell those off and threw these on here. I think they look pretty good. Except now we have another problem. We got a little squatted truck thing going on here. And because I don't want Whistling Diesel coming and turning my truck into mulch, we're gonna fix it. They turned the torsion keys up a little bit to bring the front end up higher to give the tires more room. Still had to cut the valance out. So we're gonna turn the torsion keys back down, drop the front of the truck down where it belongs, level it out a little bit to get rid of some of the space in here. There'll still be quite a bit in there, but probably about 2 inches less. So let's climb underneath there and turn those down. So because we're going down and not up, we don't have to lift the vehicle up. We could just turn it and it'll actually drop down pretty easy. And if you watch the background, as I turn this bolt, you can see the truck sink a little bit. We're gonna go the same on each side, so we're going 90 degrees at a time. And I think I'm gonna go basically 8 turns or 8 90-degree turns, which gives me 2 full turns on each side, and see how that looks. Also, glad this is a Southern truck because up here, these torsion bolts do not turn this easy. They require heat. So we're good on that side. We'll head over to the other side and we'll turn that down. And once we make our equal turns, we'll take it around the block and drive it around, let it settle a little bit. Because even though it has dropped down, driving it around and letting it settle will change the height. So we want to make sure everything is right where it belongs. We'll remove our rogue masking tape the painting gnome left for us. And as promised, I did paint that sill where it was worn through, got rid of all of our surface rust. Of course, I've already started scuffing up our new paint. And as promised, I've already gotten our brand new floor liners filthy. The PDR magician was out working on some other vehicles for me, so I had him take a look at this one, and he was able to get the rest of the dent out of there that wouldn't just pop out. Can't see any of it at all, so we didn't have to paint it, didn't have to sand it down, none of that stuff. Guy saves me a lot of time, and he doesn't charge too much. And he got it done pretty quick, so he had some other time. And he also went ahead and took care of the rest of the little dings that we had all over our bed. He didn't charge me a lot. I figured might as well make it look nice so the new owner can put some dents in it. And actually, that's me. I'm that guy. That one is one of mine. So what are you gonna do? It's a work truck. Little update on the wheel and tire situation. It rides like a whole brand new truck. No more annoying road noise, and I think we actually picked up a little fuel economy with the much smaller tires. We did pay $400 for the wheels, the lug nuts, and the center caps, and I paid just under $400 for the brand new set of tires. So that brought us to just under $800 for the brand new set of wheels and tires, and I managed to sell the old wheels and tires for $800. So we upgraded to a better looking wheel that's the right size and tires that are the right size that are brand new, all for free. Just took a little time and a little bit of work. That's it for the truck for right now. I got a little bit more work to do on it, and I definitely need it for its special purpose. So when it's all done with that, you'll see it again. It'll be up for sale. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.